I warned you. I told you the Talismans were the only thing holding FROMville together. And today the showrunners didn't just break the rules, they torched them. Episode 10 of Season 4 isn't a season finale. It's a controlled demolition. Every wall, every safe house, every carved stone that kept those people alive, gone. Not slowly, not dramatically, gone. Marielle died in Christie's arms. Elgin was squeezed to death for refusing a deal. Fatima walked back into the dark and didn't come back as herself. And while the survivors were still processing the shock, Sophia and Clara were already moving, stealing every single talisman from every single building in FROMville, one by one, without anyone noticing. By the time the sun came back, the town was completely naked. No protection, no rules, no anchor. So let's tear this apart, because what happened in If a Tree Falls in the Forest isn't just a plot twist, it's a total metaphysical reset. And if you don't understand why it happened the way it did, Season 5 is going to hit you like a truck you never saw coming. Let's start underground. Jade and Tabitha are trapped in the bone cavern beneath the bottle tree. One talisman, a sheet of tarpaulin, and creatures pressing against the plastic like they're window shopping. Then Jade drops a confession that changes everything. He lied. The theory about the children's bones protecting them from the monsters, he made it up. He fabricated it specifically to stop Boyd from canceling the mission, because he knew Tabitha had to be the one to carry those bones to the surface. That's the ritual. That's the logic he'd inherited from his past life as Christopher. Boyd's team pulls the bottle tree. Daylight floods the pit, and the creatures physically recoil. Eyes covered, retreating into the shadows. For the first time in 4 seasons, we get hard confirmation. Sunlight doesn't just inconvenience them. It burns them. They're not choosing to avoid the day. They're prisoners of it. But that advantage lasts about 4 seconds. Because Sophia had already sabotaged the rope ladder. Tabitha grabs the bones, tries to climb, and the lines snap. She falls back. And then, in broad daylight, the sky goes black. Midday eclipse, earthquake, cave-in. The man in yellow just switched off the sun. Think about what that means. The day-night cycle of FROMville isn't natural. It's artificial. It's a rule the dimension enforces, and the man in yellow can override it whenever it suits him. The creature's weakness to sunlight? It exists because the town was built from the nightmares of children. In a child's mind, daytime is safe. Darkness is where the monsters live. The town literally manifested that logic into physics, and Sophia just bypassed it with a snap of her fingers. Meanwhile, on the surface, Patty snaps, grabs Boyd's revolver inside the moving vehicle, tries to put it to her head. Boyd wrestles it away. The gun goes off, shatters a window, and Patty gets restrained. That moment isn't just chaos. It's the emotional temperature of what FROMville does to people over time. It breaks them. And Season 4 is showing us the breaking point. Then, the clinic. Fatima sees through Smiley's eyes, a sensory connection she's had since she gave birth to him, and she watches him march straight toward her. The earthquake has knocked the talisman off the clinic door. Marielle rushes to rehang it. She doesn't make it in time. Smiley slides through, ignores Marielle entirely, looks at Fatima and calls her mother. That's not a metaphor. That's biology. Fatima carried him, delivered him. A link between them is real, and it's the only reason she survives what comes next. When Marielle pulls a knife to defend her, Smiley disembowels her, doesn't hesitate, doesn't even pause. But when Fatima lets out that involuntary screech, that monster sound, Smiley stops, tilts his head, says, "Interesting," and walks away. Fatima is becoming something else, and Smiley knows it before she does. Now, Elgin. Sophia, fully operating as the man in yellow, offers Elgin a deal at the diner. "Come with me. Serve me. I'll send you back to your grandmother." And when Elgin tries to leave, Clara blocks the door. She can't stop herself. The blood pact has her body. Her mind is screaming inside a cage. Elgin looks at Sophia and starts to pray. Here's why that matters. The man in yellow cannot force compliance. It can seduce, manipulate, threaten, but it can't override genuine free will without a pact. Elgin's prayer is a conscious, deliberate appeal to a higher authority. It's him saying, I reject your framework entirely. So Sophia crushes his hands, blood from his eyes, blood from his mouth. He dies choosing his faith over survival. That's not just a tragic death. That's the show telling you, free will exists in FROMville. Even in hell, the choice is yours. You can still say no. You just have to be willing to pay for it. The sun comes back the instant Elgin dies, and Sophia smiles, then starts looting every talisman in town. Let's slow down and talk about what this episode actually proved about how FROMville works. First, the creatures aren't just nocturnal. They're law-abiding, runs on rules, not suggestions, rules. The monsters hunt at night because the dimension mandates it. That mandate was built into the town's architecture by the collective fear of its victims, most of them children, who understood the world in binary terms: safe light, dangerous dark. The town crystallized that logic into something physical. Which is why when real sunlight hit that cavern, the creatures didn't choose to retreat. They were forced to. That changes everything, because it means the monsters aren't omnipotent. They're constrained, and constraints can be exploited. But so can the rules themselves, if you're powerful enough to rewrite them. Second, the blood pact isn't magic. It's a contract. What Sophia did to Clara isn't a spell. It's a binding agreement executed through ritual. The blood exchange is the signature. Once Clara's autonomy was surrendered, even under coercion, the pact became metaphysically valid. Clara's body now executes Sophia's commands. Her mind is still in there, watching, horrified, unable to stop her own hands. And Sophia literally says it out loud. In FROMville, how you do something is just as important as what you do. That's the architecture of this entire system. Process matters, form matters. The ritual isn't decoration, it's the mechanism. You can't bypass it, you can't shortcut it. That's why the man in yellow couldn't just take Elgin. It needed his consent. It needed the handshake. And when Elgin refused, all it could do was destroy him. This reframes the entire nature of evil in this show. It's not chaos. It's not random horror. It's a legal system. A dark, ancient, perfectly structured legal system. And the man in yellow is its most experienced practitioner. Third, the faraway tree Bootstrap. Here's where it gets mind-bending. When Sophia dumps all those stolen talismans down the faraway tree, most viewers read it as pure destruction. But think harder. Where do those talismans go? The faraway trees don't just move objects through space, they move them through time. And the talismans that Boyd found in the stone cellar back in Season 1, the ones carved with the symbol of two protectors and a child, representing Jade, Tabitha, and their deceased infant, where did those come from? The theory writes itself. The talismans Sophia just threw away are the ones Boyd will find. The symbols of protection were never a gift from a benevolent force. They were planted by the enemy, designed to give the residents just enough hope to keep gathering in concentrated locations, so the man in yellow could harvest that hope cycle after cycle in engineered massacres. The tools of survival are part of the trap. They always were. The Season 4 finale leaves FROMville in a state that has no precedent in this show's history. No talismans, no bottle tree, no safe anchor point, and a compromised eclipse that proved the day-night cycle itself can be weaponized against them. The survivors don't have a defensive strategy anymore. There is no defense. Season 5 has to be about offense. Active navigation of the cave networks, retrieval of the children's bones, and a genuine attempt to break the loop rather than just survive another night of it. But here's what keeps me up at night. Fatima. She turned back into that tunnel and became something. She screeched in unison with the approaching monsters, and bought the others time to reach the surface. Boyd dragged a devastated Ellis out of there. But is Fatima still Fatima inside whatever she's become? Because think about the biology here. Smiley called her mother. The sensory link between them was real. She saw through his eyes. And when she screeched, it worked. The creatures recognized her. They stopped. That's not destruction. That's integration. Fatima didn't get consumed by the monster collective. She joined it, voluntarily, consciously, to protect the people she loves. Which means somewhere inside the creature she's become, there might still be a Fatima making decisions. If that's true, she's the most dangerous asset the survivors have ever had. A human consciousness embedded inside the monster network, with full sensory access to everything they see and know. Ellis just doesn't know it yet. And then there's the question that Season 5 absolutely cannot avoid. The children's bones, the tombstone count, 12 adult sacrifices, 8 children promised, 7 stones in the ground. Miranda and Christopher, the original Tabitha and Jade, broke the deal. They refused to sacrifice the 8th child and voided the contract. The parents were transformed into night creatures. The 2 of them were condemned to reincarnate, return, and try again, forever, until the debt is paid. The Ankui children aren't pointing at Tabitha to be saved. They're pointing at Ethan, the 8th sacrifice, the missing piece of an ancient contract that has been holding this entire dimension in a state of violent suspension for centuries. And the only thing standing between Ethan and that fate is the moral conviction of 2 people who have already failed this exact choice before. Can they find a third option? Or is that the point? There isn't one. Season 4 didn't just end. It detonated. Marielle is gone. Elgin chose death over compromise. Fatima walked into the dark and came back as something we don't have a name for yet. And every carved stone that kept 47 people alive is sitting at the bottom of a faraway tree, waiting to be discovered by a version of Boyd Stevens who hasn't arrived yet. Season 5 isn't about survival. It's about escaping a trap that was designed before any of them were born. So I want to know what you think. Is Fatima still conscious inside the monster collective? And could she become FROMville's most powerful weapon from the inside? And is Henry, with Sophia's blood already running through his veins, the hidden variable that breaks everything open? Or the quiet bomb that takes out Victor before anyone sees it coming? Drop your theory in the comments. I read every single one. Subscribe to Drama Crypt, because we're going straight into Season 5 theory territory, and you are not going to want to miss what's coming.